The bar is on a side street in Little Italy. You walked in alone. No backup inside, no partner at the table, no earpiece, no one who knows your real name within 100 yards of this building. Just you and a room full of men who have spent their entire lives figuring out who belongs and who doesn't. You order a drink. You don't rush. You don't scan the room, obviously. You don't check your phone. You just exist in the space, like you've existed in 100 rooms like this before, like this is nothing, like you are nobody, the kind of nobody that this particular room tends to find interesting. 20 minutes pass, then 30. Then a man sits down next to you. Heavyset, 50-something, rings on 3 fingers. The kind of man who has been in this neighborhood his entire life and knows every face that doesn't belong. He looks at you for a moment. Then he orders a drink. And he starts talking, not about anything important, the weather, a game last night, a guy he knows who owes him money. You listen. You laugh at the right moments. You buy him a drink without being asked. You don't volunteer your name. You don't volunteer anything. You just make him feel like he's the most interesting person in the room. Because in undercover work, the first rule is simple. Everyone wants to be heard. Give them that, and they'll give you everything. By the end of the night, he knows your name, or the name they gave you. Danny Caruso, jewel thief from Miami, small time, street smart, the kind of guy who knows how to move things and knows when not to ask questions. He shakes your hand when he leaves, and he tells you to come back tomorrow. That's all you needed, because in this world, it only takes one person to vouch for you, and he just decided he might. What he doesn't know is that Danny Caruso took 4 months to build. The FBI spent 4 months creating a person that doesn't exist out of nothing. A fake arrest record, sealed by a federal court order. A phone number that connects to a real person who will confirm everything you've told anyone. A backstory so detailed that you've memorized the name of the street you grew up on, the school you never attended, the cell you never served time in. They sent you to gemology school for 6 weeks. Diamonds, cuts, clarity, weight, so that when someone slides a stolen stone across a table, you can pick it up, hold it to the light, and tell them exactly what it's worth without hesitating, without reaching for anything, without giving anyone in that room a single reason to doubt you. Because doubt in a room like this doesn't end with questions, it ends with you. You have a wire, a recording device pressed flat against your skin, beneath 2 layers of clothing. So thin you almost forget it's there. Almost. You have a contact agent, one person at the bureau who you check in with regularly, your only connection to the world you actually belong to. Everyone else believes you are Danny Caruso, including, sometimes, yourself. You go back to the bar the next night, and the night after that. The man introduces you to someone. That someone introduces you to someone else, and slowly, over the first 2 months, you move from the edges of this world towards the center of it. You run errands, small things, moving packages, sitting in cars, standing outside buildings, watching for people who shouldn't be there. You don't ask what's inside the packages. You don't ask what's happening in the buildings, because Danny Caruso already knows that the men who ask questions are the men who don't last. 4 months in, you are being invited into rooms that the FBI has been trying to get inside for years. Back rooms, real conversations, names you recognize from case files, sitting across from you, eating dinner, talking about things openly that they would never say to anyone they didn't trust completely. And they trust you because you haven't given them a reason not to, because every story checks out, every contact confirms, every move you've made has been exactly what Danny Caruso would make. 6 months in, your real name has been erased from FBI records, If anyone calls the bureau asking about you, they are told no one by that name works there. You are so deep inside this world that even other federal agents who pass you on the street have no idea what you are. You are completely alone, and the wire on your chest is capturing conversations that will eventually destroy everything around you. 8 months in, you're sitting at a table, 7 men around you. The conversation has been going for an hour, food on the table, drinks being poured, business spoken in half sentences, the way it is always in rooms like this. And then, it stops. One of them looks at you, not the way they normally look at you, slower, different, like he's seeing something he hasn't been able to name yet but has been feeling for a while. He sets his glass down. You know what we do to people who aren't who they say they are. Not a question, a statement, placed on the table between the glasses and the plates for everyone in the room to consider. The silence that follows, Mabby's 3 seconds. 3 seconds where the wire on your chest feels like it weighs 100 pounds, where every person at that table is watching your face for the thing that gives you away. A flicker, a hesitation, a breath that comes too fast. You look at him. You take a drink. Slow, unbothered. You set your glass down, and then you say something that Danny Caruso would say. Something easy, something slightly funny, something that makes 2 people at the table laugh before they even realize they're laughing. And just like that, the temperature drops. The conversation moves on. Someone changes the subject. The food gets passed around again. And you sit there, completely present, completely calm on the outside, while something inside you quietly recalibrates. That night, alone in your apartment, you sit for a long time without moving. Not because you're afraid. You've been afraid before. Fear you know how to manage. This is something else. This is the understanding that you are no longer playing a role. You are living one. And the distance between Danny Caruso and the person you actually are is getting harder to measure. A year in, and the operation has produced more intelligence than the FBI expected. Names, locations, financial records, conversations about murders that were ordered and carried out and never solved. All of it on tape, all of it documented, all of it building a case that prosecutors are already describing as historic. But the weight of carrying it is the thing the recordings don't capture. You call your family when you can, from a phone that can't be traced, at times that don't follow a pattern. You hear their voices. You tell them you're okay. You don't tell them what okay actually looks like from inside this operation. You've missed a birthday, an anniversary, a family gathering where everyone asked where you were and no one had an answer because no one was allowed to give one. And the men around you, the ones you eat with, the ones who tell you things they've never told anyone else, they have no idea. They think Danny Caruso is one of them. They think he understands them. And the terrible truth, the thing that keeps you up some nights, is that after a year of living this, you do understand them. Not enough to forgive what they do, but enough to see them as people. Real people, with families of their own, with loyalties that mean something to them. And that understanding is the thing no training prepares you for.
14 months in. Then 16. Then 18. And something shifts. You are no longer being observed. You are being considered. There's a difference. And you feel it in the way people talk to you now. More directly, with less distance. Like a decision has been made about you that hasn't been announced yet, but everyone already knows. Almost 2 years after you first walked into that bar, the man who first vouched for you pulls you aside one evening. He has something to tell you. They want to make you one of them, fully initiated, a made man. It would make you untouchable within the organization. It would open every door that's still closed. It would give you access to the kind of information that could end careers, shut down operations, and send people away for the rest of their lives. But there is one condition. To become a made man, you have to earn it the only way the organization accepts. A murder, ordered by the family, carried out by you. Not staged, not faked, real. You listen to him explain it calmly. You nod. You tell him you're in. And that same night, you call your contact agent. The conversation is short. They already know. They've been monitoring the situation. The operation is being shut down. You have enough. More than enough. It's time to come out. The arrests happen fast. Within 48 hours of your extraction, federal agents move simultaneously across multiple locations in 3 different states. Names you gave them, addresses you documented, meeting places you described from memory after 22 months inside. The evidence you gathered across hundreds of recorded conversations inside rooms the Bureau had never been able to reach leads to over 200 indictments, more than 100 convictions. An entire organization dismantled from the inside out, using your voice, your recordings, your testimony. The men who trusted Danny Caruso are going to prison, some of them for decades, some of them for the rest of their lives. And the man who first vouched for you, the one who sat down next to you at that bar on the first night and decided you were worth knowing, is arrested 4 days after you come out. He doesn't say anything when they put the cuffs on. He doesn't fight. He doesn't ask questions. He just looks straight ahead. And somewhere in that look, you wonder if he already knew, if some part of him had always known and chose to believe in you anyway. A contract is placed on your life. Not immediately, but within weeks of the operation closing, the word comes through channels that certain people are offering money for information about who you really are, where you live, what you look like now. Your family moves. You change your routines. You vary your routes. You sit facing doors in restaurants, not because of habit, but because of necessity. For years after the operation closes, you live with the quiet awareness that the work didn't end when the case did. The Bureau calls the operation one of the most successful undercover infiltrations in its history. You receive a commendation, a handshake, an award that sits in a box somewhere because you can't display it publicly. Because publicly, you are still nobody. And the bonus they gave you for 22 months of your life, for living as someone else every single day in rooms where one wrong word would have gotten you killed, wouldn't cover a month's rent. But the money was never the point. You knew that going in. What you didn't know was the grief. Because the man who vouched for you, the one sitting in a federal prison right now, he wasn't performing friendship. He believed in you, genuinely. In a world built entirely on suspicion, he decided you were worth trusting. And you took that trust, and you used it to dismantle everything around him. For the right reasons, because the justice was real, because the work mattered. But still, you think about him more than you expected, more than you'd admit to anyone, more than the debrief sessions or the psychological evaluations or the transition counseling ever fully addresses. Because they teach you how to build the identity. They teach you to hold the wire. They teach you what to say when someone puts a question on the table that could end your life. But they don't teach you what it feels like to sit across from someone for almost 2 years and let them believe in you, knowing the entire time what you were going to do to them. That part you figure out alone, long after the case is closed, long after the names are in the newspapers. long after everyone else has moved on. Undercover operations like this one have changed the course of criminal justice in America. They have dismantled organizations that traditional law enforcement could never touch. They have produced convictions that wouldn't exist without someone willing to go inside and stay there long enough to matter. All of it done by people who gave up their names, their routines, their families for months at a time, and sometimes a part of themselves they never fully got back. If you want to keep going deeper, into the hidden levels, the classified lives, the systems most people never see, you know what to do. The next level is already waiting.